Today. I know it's a busy day with practice getting done, have things coming up, but we appreciate your time. We'll take questions for about 15 minutes for Coach before he has to join his next staff meeting. We'll start with Matt Wenzel from MLive. Matt.
Hey, Ron, you go back a year ago, you had to replace 3 of 4 starters up front, and it's kind of the opposite situation this year where everybody's back except for Naquan, and you've got Drew coming in. I guess how different is the outlook for that front 4 now than it was a year ago?
Well, the outlook is to be the best defensive line we can be, to be the best in the country, best in the Big Ten. And we have a group of guys that have some veteran experience up front. And yes, it starts with the 2 defensive ends and Drew Beasley, Jacob Ponachute. We also got Jack Camper out there. Those guys understand what we're asking. And we've brought in Drew Jordan, who is a strong position of defensive end, being able to play both sides and understanding what we're asking them to do. And then inside, hey, we got 3 guys that played a lot, really 4, Jacob Slade, Mr. Mallory, and we expect a lot of Jalen Hunt. And then we'll have another young man, Maverick Hansen, that has played some as of last year. But we expect a lot from this group, and we see how it goes. And we're knee-deep in the spring ball right now, day 4.
And with Jacob being a guy who contributed immediately as a freshman and 3-year starter, I mean, when you bring a guy like that back for a 5th year, I mean, what's the expectation from him with all the snaps that he's played?
Well, the expectations is for him to be a leader. The expectations to understand the process and be able to help other guys around him. The experience should be shared, and by example, and by being able to coach those guys up. That's what we expect, and we expect him to be there to have some things that at the end of the year, that means that he had a great year, that the ability to play consistently up front would allow him to have some things that comes at the end of winning championships. So we shall see.
Thanks, Ron.
Our next question is from Lindsey Huddleston.
Hey, Coach, good to see you again. It's spring again. You're 4 days in. You got some veterans, no doubt, but are there some principles that you always have to go back to around this time of year so the players don't get too far ahead of themselves? Everyone's excited to get back. We've had this COVID issue, but are there some kind of mainstay principles you got to always go back to that you learned that have helped you with these guys for the latter part of the season?
Yes, the fundamentals, the ability to play with pad level, the use of your hands, guys understanding what's going on pre-snap. All those things, pre-snap reads, knowing where the back is, know what type of offensive line you're seeing in front of you, learning what's going on with the strengths and weaknesses of the teams you play against, the individual you play against. So you go back to the principles of the fundamentals, the footwork, the hands, the movement, and those things are more important in playing with power consistently.
Right. And just as a quick follow-up, the social media age, I just got to ask, from when you started in this role years ago to now, have you seen any kind of influence that social media has played, good, bad, or indifferent, with you coaching up these guys?
Well, it's always reinforcement, more importantly, with the social media, and it still goes back to the simple ways of playing the game. And, the complex stuff stays out. It's the ABCs of the things that I see on social media that's really helps reaffirm on what we're doing. We've got a lot of great coaches out there, and you keep it simple up front and understand what's important. And the most important thing is being able to play with your hands, use your feet, and play with pad level, and being aggressive in what you're doing and being repetitive with that in a stressful situation. That's what we need to see. And social media can play a good part and a bad part in that. So, but we try to get back down to the groundwork and work from there. The film does not lie.
The film doesn't lie. I appreciate that, Coach. Thank you.
Our next question is from Nick Manis with WLNS.
Coach, good to see you again. As you were mentioning, you're knee deep in spring ball, and as you said that, excuse me, there was a level of excitement that it seems you're feeling when it comes to that. As we're getting towards doing things that seem a little with some normalcy, what's it been like the first couple of days, and what are you most excited about this group?
Well, number one, what I'm excited about the group is the fact that they're a veteran group. We got some young guys in behind them, but we have the ability to have more people to help coach the group up. And that's what's exciting from the defensive end position with 3 seniors, 4 seniors up front to the defensive tackles inside. We have other people other than myself with great examples who have been through the wars and what Coach Tucker wants, being able to play with pad level, being able to motivate, okay, being able to understand that it has to be done on a daily basis, on every play basis, and being consistent with it. And that's what we like about this group and being in the veteran group.
A quick little follow-up, as you were saying, not just you, but other guys being, examples. Is it knowing that we're not able to be there with you guys during practices? Are you getting in there as usual and putting your hands on the guys and having some fun with that during practices?
There's no doubt about that. I always want to play with power and how you use your hands. It takes hands to make where you want to happen up front and the ability to use your feet. But yes, we try to be as aggressive and being able to be an example up front. And Coach Burton is still doing that. That's for sure.
Thank you, Coach.
Our next question is from Stephen Brooks.
Hey, Ron. Hope you're doing well. Wanted to ask you about Brandon Wright, a new guy with your group. Just where did the idea to move him to D-line come from? How did he sort of embrace that, I guess? And just how's he been doing in these first couple of days?
Or Brandon Wright is a former tailback, his ability to run, his ability to pass rush and lead on third down. It creates an opportunity because we don't have enough young guys in behind that has his ability and his upside, the use of his feet. And just like a running back, being able to use proper footwork to get to the quarterback. We think he has a lot of upside in that, and he's embraced that this spring. And he's taken it one day at a time, but he's definitely flashed already in the pass rushing situations. And we're glad we have him on our side of the ball.
And if I could ask a second question, I wanted to ask you about Drew Jordan as well. Normally, when you have new faces, of course, they're younger guys for the most part. When you get a guy new to the group that has his experience level, what has he brought, and just what's it been like working with him?
Well, different ways of teaching. Number one, with the experience and have been a starter coming here, it's a plus for us. He's a student of the game, has great pass rush ability, and also plays with great power. And just being a great example to the young guys up front and what he's done and how he's been coached at other places. And that helps improve and reaffirm what we're teaching here too. So he has been a pleasure on and off the field. And I think it's just like having another coach on the field also.
Got it. Thank you very much.
Our next question is from Paul with Spartan Magazine.
Hey, Ron, thanks for doing this for us. Wanted to ask you about a couple guys. Maverick Hansen looked like he gained some good weight in the offseason, and then Deshaun Mallory looks like he's got his body maybe cut up a little bit better. Could you talk about maybe those guys and the offseason conditioning they had and how that might help you out this year?
Well, I'll start with Maverick. He's down in some weight right now. He's about 305, 300 pounds, and we thought that was necessary for him to be able to move. He plays with good pad level and strength. He plays with great power, so that's what we love about him. We have a kid, Deshaun Mallory, who's lost some weight and really put him in, making him a little bit more dynamic. He's lost 25, 30 pounds, and it's allowed him to have a lot more movement in Deshaun Mallory. And some guys have put on some weight, creating some strength, and our upperclassmen like Jacob Slade, he's right at 315, and he's playing with great power and push, and he's just managing it to be able to run with it at all times. And then Jalen Hunt, he's about 315, and he's doing the same thing, trying to sculpture and reduce the fat and have more muscle. And our strength and conditioning has allowed that to happen, and really our nutritionist has allowed to see the fruits of that labor already with those guys being able to play with great strength and pad level, but they're reducing their body fat through this system, and it's been great.
And then as a quick follow-up, if I could, you had a big group of redshirt freshmen this year from last year. Have you seen any flashes from anybody? Can you talk about some of the progress maybe some of those young guys have made?
Well, we got guys that are trying to flash right now. One of the big ones is Simeon Barrow and the pass rush part of it. He's very aggressive. He gets off on the ball. He just has a tendency to understand that he has to play his gap, but pass rush wise, he has flashed in that. And two young guys, Kyle King and Chris Mayfield, two guys that are on the rise, but they're still learning the system and going from there. So they're still work in progress.
Thanks, Ron. I appreciate it.
Our next question, we'll go back to Matt with M Live.
Hey, Ron, you mentioned a couple of guys pass rush wise. I was wondering, with losing the guys you lost before last season, the sacks went down. Melo talked about it the other day. He talked about, needing to bring pressure with the four guys. I was wondering if you have like the season you had and you can get a full spring, how much do you think increasing pass rush would be somewhat being able to install what you wanted to install, or is it more just developing, personal, the guys, the personnel you have, the roster?
Number one, being able to install where we want to install, but still go back to the basics of, being able to play fundamental pass rush, being able to use your hands consistently, developing your first and your second move, and having a spring and is allowing us to do that. And we have guys that have a great first move, but they're working on their second move right now. Jacob Planishuk, who uses his hands tremendously well. Drew Beasley, who plays with great power inside and out. They're developing that second move now that's going to allow us to gain in more sacks and the ability to carry it over by having a spring ball and then having a summer prior to going into the fall. So no doubt about that. We expect that to improve, and it starts with the great fundamentals in our pass rush ability.
You mentioned Jalen Hunt. He missed the last, I can't remember how many games last year with what appeared to be an injury. Has he been ready to go, full go in practice and all that stuff?
Has not missed a rep. He's going very dynamic in his pass rush also. And I apologize for not mentioning his name, Jalen Hunt, but consistency is what he needs to be. He flashes all the time. And I tell you what, he has a great get off, and we want to utilize that as much as possible, being disruptive. So keep understanding that the use of his hands as well as his feet will allow him to be more productive in pass rush and in the run game.
Thank you.
We have another question from Stephen Brooks with 24/7 Sports.
Sure. Hey, Ron, just before you go, I wanted to ask you about Drew Beasley with a guy with his experience when he decides he's coming back again. What are sort of those next steps for him? I mean, what can he still improve on? What do you still want to see from him going into this? I think it's sixth year for him, maybe fifth.
Well, no doubt it's Coach Beasley to us, that's for sure. But being able to play both inside and out and being a positive guy in the room, he is a true leader up front. And what we're asking him to do, and coming back for a 6th year, allows him to improve his pass rush inside and out. As you can tell, we use him both in both places, and I think that's something that he wants to continue to make his craft better by utilizing a little bit more speed than power, because he plays with awesome power up front. But I tell you what, he does a great job of retaining and improving himself all the time. But what I see just from watching him is his ability to coach everyone else up, his ability to improve and help each and everyone around him. That's what I love about Drew Beasley. And I think he's going to improve as just his consistency in pass rush, but also in first and second down.
Great. Thank you.
Try to get a couple more in here. We'll go to Rainer Saban with the Detroit Free Press.
Hey, Ron. Mel seems to be looking for to build the team from the inside out. How much, is that emphasized, I guess, in recruiting and also just in meetings that you have across the team?
No doubt, inside out, from the defensive end to the defensive tackle position, we want to get as long as possible. We want to be as long as we can as far as height and weight and the ability to prove in our strength. But that's where your football team starts, down the middle. And we're definitely putting the emphasis on that as we bring our freshman class in. But the guys that are here right now are the key to what we're going to do in the fall, and that's for sure. Our emphasis will continue to recruit and the defensive line, but more importantly, as a defensive group, to be able to improve upon that so we can play championship football. That's the expectation. Coach Tucker expects us to do that, to teach and motivate. Okay. And that's what we're doing right now with this group. And it starts down the middle of your defense. That's for sure. And you're correct in that.
Thanks.
Our last question, we'll go to Jim Comparoni with Spartan Magazine.
Hey, Coach, thanks for taking time out to do this with us. Can you give us the latest on Michael Fletcher and how he's coming along?
He's doing good. He's running with the second group. He also in our speed package. He's gained some weight and he's playing very strong right now. He's got a great long arm move that he's utilized, and he's been more consistent in this play and starting to make a few more plays and escaping blocks. But what we like is the fact that he's gotten stronger and he hasn't missed any reps, and he will see him on the field this fall. That's for sure. And Michael Fletcher.
Also, Avery Dunn was on the travel team a little bit last year. How is he coming along? I know you can't probably think of everyone to mention when you mention players, but I wanted to give you a chance to talk about him a little bit.
Avery Dunn has come a long ways. He came in here sopping wet, 215, 220. He's now 245 pounds and doesn't look it. He has flashed, and he's just learning the defense, and he plays with great energy, but he has a lot of upside to him, and he has improved, and he continues to improve with his weight and his body. That's what we've enjoyed in seeing him move around. His pass rush is getting better, and he's learning the defense, and that's what it takes to have a spring like this for him, but he has a lot of upside.
Great, thanks. Also, you mentioned Drew Beasley's playing inside. Do you mean some defensive tackle? Is that something new for him? Is that what you mean by inside, or were you talking about inside pass rush moves?
Well, inside pass rush moves and inside too. It's just the ability to play across the line. He's a young man that's been here 6 years, and he's played inside and out.
Okay.
So he's played defense both as a defensive tackle and a defensive end. So that's just something to let you know that he knows every part of our defensive front and has the ability to play inside and out. And
all right,
never know, he could be in there. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
All right, Coach, really appreciate your time. We know you got to run to a meeting right now, but thank you so much, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you. Appreciate your time, man.